Hi, my name is Dave. I'm your host. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is the first time you're listening, welcome. I'm happy you found me. And if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. Today, I want to talk about self-confidence. Do you know how to build your own self-confidence? I really didn't think it was a thing with adults and until I actually took a long, hard look at my own life. And I saw that I lack self-confidence too, to a degree. Now, I understand this kids will always lack self-confidence to a degree, and they're building because they're growing, right? But even some kids are confident. So I wanted to talk to you today because people with low self-confidence can hail from any type of background, walk of life. Often their low confidence has roots. It has roots to specific experiences, beliefs, even our own circumstances. I truly understand this after examining my own life closely and uncovering my own limiting beliefs in areas that, like tech, like sales. I mean, a lot of salespeople go through this and they suffer with low self-confidence, especially when they're really starting into sales because they're not confident. They don't have a record to go by. This realization dawned on me while I was listening to someone in the store today. They was having a conversation and they were talking about their whole conversation was based on the premises of having low self-esteem, low confidence in themselves. And those words weren't being used, but that's what it was boiling down to. And I wanted to interject so badly and say, hey, there is a way you can rebuild your confidence if you choose to, because you have to want it. You have to want to. And some people may succumb to a false reality by saying to themselves, well, it wasn't right for me. I guess it's not in the cards. I even myself said this at times. Maybe I wasn't meant for this, or it's not meant for me to have this, or whatever you tell yourself in that self-dialogue. That's up to you. But there is a way that you can build your self-confidence. And that is what we're going to talk about today. But before I do, what I find so alarming than anything else is realizing that we might not even be aware that we are suffering from low self-confidence. It's truly unsettling because if we don't recognize it, there is an issue here. Basically, we won't be able to correct it or even change it if we wanted to, because we don't know it's there. Today, I want to give you 10 signs of low self-confidence. And you got to be able to see if you see yourself in any of these signs or any of these examples. And I'm going to start out with the perfectionist. Okay. This is the person who sets unrealistic high standards for themselves and feel they're never good enough. And signs of low self-confidence for them might be they're overly critical of their own work. They avoid taking risk for fear of failing. And success feels probably like an empty nester for them because they always focus on what's next. So that success is always going to be an empty feeling to them. And one of the root causes for this, and I'm just going to say, fear of judgment, a need for external validation, basically, or the belief that their worth depends on a flawless performance. If that's you, then you would be able to see yourself in this example. And number 2 would probably be a people pleaser. Now, I know there are a lot of those around, and this type of individual prioritizes others' needs over their own and find it difficult to say no at times. So what is it that they might be suffering from? They struggle with asserting their own opinions or desires. They often feel unappreciated or resentful, but avoid confrontation. And they may even equate their own self-worth with others' approval. Now, the root causes to that is fear of rejection, a desire to avoid conflict, or being conditioned to seek external validation from an early age. And if you see yourself in that, if you always have to have that that external validation from others, maybe that might be you. Maybe it's time to rethink some things and see why that is, because like I said, they may stem from childhood experiences, something that we've experienced while we were in our teens or even as a younger adult. Number 3 would probably be the overthinker. Now, this type of person constantly second guesses their own decisions and dwells on what was probably wrong instead of saying, how could I change it? What could I do to make it better? They would dwell on everything that they done wrong instead of looking at anything that they have probably done right. So some of the signs for them is they procrastinate because they're unsure about their own abilities. They ask for reassurance repeatedly. They avoid taking action, feeling stuck in what if scenarios. Now, one of the root causes for them is anxiety, fear of making mistakes, or a past experience where their decisions led to negative outcomes. Now, if that's you, there's still hope for you. I mean, I saw myself in quite a bit of things when I was doing self-assessment last year, and I have uncovered a great deal about myself. But we're talking about you. How can you see yourself in any of these examples and change them? Stay tuned, because I'm going to have that information for you as well. But the next one is going to be number 4, the comparer. The description for this is basically the type of person who is frequently compares themselves to others, feeling they always fall short. Now, what are the low self-confident areas for them are they focus on others' successes while minimizing their own. Social media leaves them feeling inadequate. So these are the type of people who look at everybody else on the social media and just say to themselves, I'm falling short. I'm not where these people are. And when all actuality, we should be comparing ourselves with ourselves of yesterday or yesteryear. So we should always try to better ourselves each day. And then one of my own goals is to try to be better than I was yesterday. I can't look at anybody else because everybody else's circumstances is different. I don't know their entire story, so I can't compare myself with them. I can only compare myself with my past experience. That means that whatever I done yesterday, let's see if I can outdo myself today or be better than I was, be better today than I was yesterday. So that is the comparer. And they believe they lack the qualities or skills others possess. And one of their root causes is exposure to idealized standards, a lack of self-awareness, or a critical inner voice. And I believe everybody should see themselves in this, because we all have that critical voice inside. At some point, at some time in our lives, that critical voice might be there to help us analyze something or help us reduce our own value in a negative way. There's so many avenues you can see yourself in this. So you have to be truthful with yourself. You have to be critically honest with yourself to see it. So number 5 is going to be the survivor, a trauma or adversity, right? Someone who has faced emotional, physical, or psychological abuse and feels unworthy or incapable, right? They struggle to trust themselves or others. They feel powerless or unable to make a positive change. They have persistent sense of shame or guilt. Now, one of the root causes for this is lingering effects of trauma, internalized negative beliefs, or feeling helplessness, hopelessness, things of that nature. And at some point in time, I'm being honest, I was there. I was feeling that way many times when I lost family members or going through a hard time in my life. I felt that before. So I recognize that in myself. So as long as we can see ourselves In all these examples, or in any of these examples, or even one of these examples, we might see ourselves being able to change it. The first key is to be able to recognize it. So if you don't see yourself in this at any point in time, you may need to take a deeper look. Okay, so here's another one. This is number 6. It's socially anxious. And this person avoids social situations due to fear of judgment or rejection. Signs of low confidence is overanalyzing interactions, assuming others is critical of them. Right? So they avoid speaking up in groups or meeting new people. They feel they're not interested or likable. And this is what could cause that. It could have been a past experience, or fear of humiliation or rejection, or introversion combined with self-doubt. That might be something that you might be looking at as well. And I've been there, so I know. I've been that person. And some might still say I'm that person. But I'm not. I don't mind groups. I don't mind speaking in groups. In fact, I will embrace a group any day, anytime. And that's just the way it is. But of course, I want to be in a group that interests me. I'm not going to be in a group that I have no interest about at all, or even being a part of. So there you have that. And that's a different story. How about underachiever? That's number 7. Someone who avoids challenges, believing they won't succeed. And what are their signs? Now, they often leave tasks unfinished. They avoid opportunities that require stepping out of their comfort zone. They attribute success to luck rather than their own abilities. And one of the root causes for this is fear of failure, past discouragement, or negative feedback. And I'm quite sure everybody should see themselves, a little bit of that in themselves. And it may not be now, but you've been through it, so you know about it. So number 9 is the newcomer. Okay, so this is the type of person in a new environment, whether it's a job, school, social circle, who feels out of place. I've always felt out of place in my life, and I'm being honest. I could be surrounded by a million people and still feel out of place, still feel lonely. That's why I was able to see myself in all those things. Yeah, I'm being honest with you. I had issues, but I worked on my issues, and I'm still working on issues. I work on issues every day. So if you're not working on your own issues, then you're not growing, because everyone has issues. Even if your issues don't even have a label or a name on it, you still have issues. One issue at a time, one issue one way or another. I don't care how you slice it. Everybody has issues one way or another. Nobody's perfect. The next one is the creative dreamer. All right, I don't know who this is. I'm going to go back. How about the overachiever? The overachiever. This is a high-performing individual who may still feel inadequate despite their accomplishments. Do you see yourself in that position? Now, you are an achiever. You are a high goal achiever, and you achieve many things in life, but yet you still feel inadequate despite your accomplishments. And signs of low confidence in this area is they constantly feel the need to prove themselves. They fear being exposed as a fraud, imposter syndrome. They rarely take time to celebrate achievements, moving quickly to the next goal. And what could the cause be? A belief that success defines their worth, pressure from unbridging or fear of losing momentum. Do you see yourself in that? If you're a high achiever, are you always moving on real quickly to the next goal? That might be you. You might need to take a deeper look at what it is that you're trying to achieve and why you're never, ever achieving anything in your own eyes with a huge worth of accomplishment. All right. My last example for you is the creative dreamer. This person is passionate about their ideas, but fears putting them out into the world. Guilty. I'm being honest. I'm being open. And yes, this was me for years. This was definitely me for years. So I had many good ideas. I had many good ideas that never came to fruition because of fear, low self-confidence, all of it. And if you're the type of person who is passionate about bringing great ideas, but fear putting them out there into the world and letting them grow and take root and really flourish beyond your own imagination, hey, maybe it's time to build some self-confidence in everything that you do. They hesitate to share their work due to fear of criticism. Yep, that was me, guilty. They undervalue their talents or think that their work isn't good enough. Yep. You know, in 2008, and I said this before in many of my podcasts, that I wanted to start a podcast for poetry. But I believe there was so many poets better than I, and why would anybody want to listen to me? Why would anybody even enjoy what I have to say? Even though I was told that I was awesome at it, I was good at it. A lot of people told me all throughout my life, you're a good writer, you have a great imagination, but yet I suffered and couldn't see it in myself. So yeah, I was guilty. But now I understand. So the root causes was, yes, fear of rejection, critical tendencies or self-critical tendencies, or lacked encouragement. Now, basically, these examples are just showing you are basically that, examples. But it's true. All these might be an area in your life that you might have low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and it's just time to find a way to make this not a reality any longer for you. Oh, sure, it might pop up in other areas of your life when something new comes along, but still, these are areas that you can see. So how do we build self-confidence, right? So if you see yourself in any of those examples that I just listed, how do we see ourselves or build self-confidence within ourselves? I think we first have to start with self-awareness. We have to reflect on our past experiences and spend some time thinking about pivotal moments in our own lives and how our lives were shaped and how we started believing whatever it is that you believe in, right? So you have to reflect pretty much on your own experiences and then identify your own values and what that means to you. Understanding, I'm assuming your own core values help you align your life with what truly matters to you. So that is a couple of things that you got to do. So it takes some self-reflection. Take inventory in your strengths and weaknesses. Write all this stuff down because you can't commit any of this stuff to memory. And write down whether you're struggling, embracing, or both without any type of judgment. Just write so you can see what you got there. And then use your self-assessment. You can find self-assessment tools online, and you can do personality tests online, and you can try to figure out what it is that you are missing and why do you have that belief of low confidence, low self-esteem. And then you want to start doing something else that's very critical. Start practicing a little self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Yeah, you have to. Treat yourself as if you were a dear friend when things don't go as you plan. So forgive yourself. Learn that self-compassion. You got to release that guilt. You got to release that self-criticism. And for me, it was a valuable thing for me. Releasing all the things that I've done. I had made a ton of mistakes in my life. And I had to figure out how I could move forward because I was so self-critical of myself, despite my talents. So you have to do that for yourself. You have to be able to embrace your own story. And how do you do that? You have to embrace your own past. You have to acknowledge the challenges, the mistakes you've made, and even successes. And you have to figure out, because all these things make who you are now. So you have to go back into your own life story and write about this. Building self-confidence is not something that you could do by the snap of your fingers. No, it takes time, and it takes a process. And embracing your story, your past, your challenges, mistakes, and successes, and things of that nature, you can start by rewriting your own narrative. And I talked about this before. You reframe your story in a way that empowers you rather than limits you. So you have to celebrate your own resilience and recognize your strengths and what it took to overcome whatever hardships you had in your life. You have to do that. So you want to explore your inner world, and you got to look in to do this. So, and I talked about mindfulness once before on my on the podcast, on a different podcast. You have to spend time with yourself, being present with your thoughts and emotions, because what I realized when I was going through this journey of self-discovery for my own self, I realized that there was a lot of things I didn't want to think about, and there was a lot of things that made me cry. There was a lot of things that made me upset, and there was a lot of things that made me sad. But I had to face them. I had to embrace them, and I had to say, I've done these things. I went through these things. I've experienced these things, but now I'm here. I'm going to put all this to rest. I'm going to put all this to bed, and I'm going to move forward with my life now. I am no longer going to beat myself over the head with all my past, because it is just that, past. I have a whole future ahead of me, and so do you. In order to build your self-confidence, you got to look at all these avenues in your life. You have to practice your mindfulness, spend time with your thoughts, your judgments, and let go of all those critical judgments about yourself. And I told you this on many podcasts before. Journal your thoughts, because it helps provide you with a little clarity in your life. Meditate on your own emotions. Avoid difficult emotions. Sit with them and understand why you have them and how you can move forward with them. Because this stuff, it's a part of you. You just have to learn how to rewrite the narrative. You have to learn how to build your self-confidence. And while you're doing all these things, right, you're going to focus on your talent, your unique gifts. Appreciate yourself, your individuality. You want to be able to do that and compare yourself only with who you were yesterday. You want to be able to celebrate your successes, reflect on all your accomplishments, because that's going to help you build that self-confidence, that self-esteem. And also start pursuing whatever you're passionate about in your life, because when you're pursuing something that you're passionate about, you're building your self-esteem, and low confidence will start rising. That's something that you want to do for yourself, not anyone else, not for money, unless it starts providing you that, then that's gravy. But you want to be able to start building your own self-confidence, and you want to spend time alone and engaging in all the things that bring you joy and allow yourself self-discovery. This is what I went through. I went through this whole process a whole year. And this is the only reason why that one little conversation in the store I heard today prompted this whole talk with you, because it's important, because I didn't realize there was and there are a lot of people walking around have no clue how to build self-confidence. Instead, they succumb to their false reality, because that's all it is. That false reality then becomes real, because they sit and bake in that for years. So I think what we also need to do is seek external perspectives, ask trusted friends and mentors. Sometimes people can see things that we cannot see because they're on the outside looking in, and then to help build your confidence, start reading inspiring stories that are also confidence builders. Work with a coach or a therapist. That's another way that you can have professional guidance that can offer tools and strategies tailored to your journey. And then let go of all your comparisons. You don't need to compare yourself with anyone. Unplug from social media for a while if it causes you to compare or break your focus. If you're sitting there looking at the lifestyles of the rich and famous or all these other people, influencers that are on there, let go of all of that. Unplug from it. Reframe yourself from any competition outside of yourself. Define your own success by setting your own goals on what you value, not social standards. Okay? So I think this is, I'm about to wrap this up, but I think you need to embrace your change, embrace uncertainty, acknowledge the growth, and accept yourself always evolving, because that's where you're going to grow in your transformation, because it's in the journey is where we learn and we grow and become who we become in the end, or whatever you want to become in the end. You got to find peace somewhere in all of your chaos or uncertainty. You want to find peace. And believe me, you can carve it out that way. So by committing to these practices, I believe you can build a deeper understanding of who you are, and you can build your self-confidence up. And you have to do this not only once, but you have to, this is a continuous journey. You're going to have to continue to do this. And I believe that it will help you. But I'm going to give you another tip here. In order to build self-confidence, find little things that is going to give you a small challenge and achieve it. And when you see that little thing that you achieve, celebrate it. I don't care how small, how large, celebrate it. Because those little wins are going to start stacking up to bigger wins. So find something small with a small challenge for you, not easy, but a small challenge for you, and overcome it. And say, wow, if I did that, what else could I do? This is a great way to start building your self-confidence. Anybody can build self-confidence, but you gotta want it. My name is Dave. You're listening to The Last Podcast. I really appreciate you listening. I hope this helped. I hope this brought you value. And do me a favor, tell your family, friends, co-workers, and associates about this. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe right now. My whole goal is to provide you with good content and practical ideas that you can use throughout your life. Again, my name is Dave. You're listening to The Last Podcast. I thank you so much for listening. Be blessed. Bye-bye.